guys, thanks for joining me. Like my tag says, this is Silas Crafts. So today I'm going to be showing you guys how to de-stress, or in better terms, make a cup look rusty to give it a manly vibe. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through all of the steps with you. The only thing I've done is I've prepped my cup. I have done the water slide. This is a clear water slide that I placed on here. There's not one on the other side because I want the back to be rusty as well. So you're going to need your cup to already be prepped with spray paint or whatever you're doing. Add your water slide, whether it be clear or the white. To distress a cup, you're also going to need some paprika. It's a good thing to make it look like a rusty cup with this. So I haven't done anything else besides that. Other than that, you're going to need whatever epoxy you're going to use. And so I'm going to go through the steps now. So I haven't measured anything out, just like in previous videos. I use measuring cups. I do A and B to show what I'm using, but also it's for me to keep track of which cup is which. So that way when I'm measuring, I don't mix them up. So because I'm doing this like kind of like the epoxy method with this cup, I'm just adding the paprika to it. I'm going to do 30 mLs, but I feel like that's going to be too much, but I have a mold ready just in case, a little straw topper mold for any extra that I can throw into it, but I want to make sure that I have enough epoxy so I don't have to mix up more during the process. So it's going to be 15 milliliters of each A and B. I am using Fast Set from Counterculture. I can link it to the bottom of the video to let you guys know what I'm using. I have popsicle sticks. That's what I stir my epoxy with. So I'm just mixing my epoxy really quick. I'm going to add the A and B into a Dixie cup so that I can mix it together and then add on to the cup. It makes it easier for me to mix in a Dixie cup for the a little larger quantities. If you're just doing like 10 ml of each one, you can usually just get by with a measuring cup, but if it's more than the 10 ml, you want to try to mix it into another thing, whether it's your silicone bowl or a little Dixie cup. Okay, so I have a good mix on my epoxy. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a glove, just the regular gloves that you buy. I know that alcohol and gloves are getting harder to find. I think you can get them at Hobby Lobby. I get mine online, so that's just where I go. Alright, so we're going to get the epoxy added. Make sure that you have a nice clean surface, that there was no like fuzzies or hairs or anything added onto the cup. I think the 30 ml is actually going to be perfect for this cup. I might have a little bit left over. I always go from the bottom up because I feel that it pulls it off of my glove from the bottom so that I can scrape it off the bottom with my hand and put it back into the cup so that I'm not wasting any epoxy that may be dripping off. Okay, so now that I have a nice layer of epoxy on here, I'm going to go ahead and set my cup to the side that still has epoxy in it, because I'll go ahead and throw that in the mold at the end. So I'm going to get any bubbles popped real quick that might have formed while I was adding the epoxy to the cup. I'm going to hit it really quickly with my torch and get all those bubbles popped. So now I got all the bubbles popped. So this is where the fun part comes. I'm actually going to add some of this paprika into a Dixie cup so that it's easier for me to control how it goes on. And that way any chunks that might be in the container, you can go ahead and crush it up with a stick or whatever you want to use. I'm going to use my popsicle stick because I love them. And I'm just going to put it in there and crush up any big pieces that might be in there. Okay, so I got all the big pieces mixed in there. So at this point, what I'm going to do is you want to be quick with this when you stop and start your turner. So I'm going to take a spoon, I'm going to put a little bit on there, and I'm just kind of like throw it on in different areas. Then I'm going to turn on my turner and let it spin. Blow off any excess. You can do it while it's spinning too. I mean, it's completely up to you. There's a lot in that spot. It also takes off any excess that might be on there. But you can kind of tap your turner and it'll drop off any big chunks that might have been on there. The paprika just does a nice rust look to the cup. You can also, if you want, you can take your fingers and get them kind of wet and then dunk it into the cup and give some fingerprints to your cup as well. I'm not going to do that with this cup, but I'm just saying you can. And you always want something to catch it underneath, just like the glitter. Of course, this is food related, so I'm not going to reuse what was on my cup. So once it drops on the paper, I'm just going to throw it away. But glitter, you always want something under there to catch it so that you can reuse your glitter because you're not eating it. So I'm going to kind of put a little bit into the Chevy emblem and then little dabs here and there. So what really gives it that rusted look, I'm going to blow off all that excess, is once it does its turn and your epoxy dries, when you put on your next layer is when you really get that rusted look to it. Make sure you get the butt, so I'm just going to throw a little bit on the butt and I'm just kind of tossing it on there. And you can rust as much as you want or as little as you want. It's completely up to you. This is your design and your creation. So as you can see that it's turning, the paprika is starting to spread, which is good because it's giving more of that rusted look to it, which I want. I kind of want it to look like an old rusted bottle. So I'm just doing little flakes here and there. Tapping it on there so it'll spread on its own with the epoxy. So it's not like jumbled up all in one spot. It's got kind of like little rust pieces on it in different areas. And put a little bit more on that emblem when it comes back around. But so far, I think it's pretty good. Okay, so you can see I poured a lot of paprika into my cup, but I really didn't use that much. I would suggest getting any seasonings or anything that you use on your cups. I would suggest getting a bottle that you're just going to use for your crafts. That way it doesn't get mistaken and put back in the kitchen. Just mark it with a permanent marker like Tumblers or Crafts or something like that. But as you can see, it was super, super easy, super fast. You can blow off any extras and you'll really have that rusted look. Once you put on that next layer of epoxy is really where it's going to really shine. So if you guys have any questions as to this cup, or if you have any cups that you want to learn, please feel free to comment down below. Also, please give me a like and a share, or a like and a subscribe. That way you get any updates to any new videos that I post.